Good morning, fourth grade. The reason that we're spending so long on civil rights is because it is part of our history. Alabama, that is where a big part of civil rights happened. It happened right here in our state. This is where there was a lot of resistance to change, a lot of resistance to segregation, and segregation, like where whites are on one side and blacks are on the other. Dr. King was not for that. Many people were not for that, black and white people. Not every white person was for segregation, but there were a lot who were. So whenever I started preparing for this unit, I knew that I wanted to spend an extra long time on civil rights because I didn't want to leave not one event out. I want you to experience it all, and I want this to be something that you remember forever. I want you to remember this class forever because an Alabama history forever, because it is such a big, vital, important role in the state of Alabama, in our country, really, and in our community, and within our school. Anyway, so with that said, whenever I was reading and getting everything ready for section 12.1, when we first read about the march and we first learned about the NAACP and CORE and the Niagara movement, I learned about the Freedom Riders. Well, I had always heard the Freedom Riders. I knew the term, but I didn't know exactly what it was. And so upon my research, I was just fascinated that these people from, all over the country came together because black and white people, they came together because they wanted equal rights for black people and white people. Brown people, they wanted everybody to experience the same freedom, that white people had. And I remember I watched one video of, it was where a white man was being interviewed, and he was a freedom rider, and someone asked him why did he feel it was his responsibility to help, fight for black people to have civil rights, to be treated the same. And he said he felt that it was and I agree with this, and I couldn't have said it better myself. He said it is every American's responsibility to make sure that we all have the same constitutional rights, and that is exactly right. It is all of our responsibilities to make sure that we are all treated equally. Black, white, brown, red, pink, yellow, whatever color. We all have constitutional rights, and we all deserve to be treated fairly. With that said, and thinking about the Freedom Riders, and again, the Freedom Riders were a group of people who got together peacefully. They wanted to challenge the boundaries of segregation, and they wanted to travel across the southern states that still had, that still were not for desegregation, and they wanted to challenge. And one of the bloodiest and most terrible incidents happened in Anniston, Alabama, just a few minutes from here, a car ride from here. A bus stop there. People were attacked and beaten, and I'll show you videos of that, later on. But I want you to think about how you would react when someone is mean or unhurtful to you, because these Freedom Riders, when they came in, people were calling them all kinds of racial slurs, the worst things that you can imagine. Some people were, not all people. I want to be clear on that. But I want you to think about how when they came to Alabama or Mississippi or Georgia, when the Freedom Riders were riding in a bus and they came across those states and they made those stops, I want you to think about some of the horrible things that they must have been called. They were called mean things, unhurtful things, unfair things. And Dr. King was asking everybody to work against segregation. He wanted everybody, in nonviolent ways. And so when these people came on the bus, their intentions were peaceful. They did not intend to come in and be violent, not by any means. So we need to think about how they were treated when they got off of the buses and some of the things that must have been said to them. And I want you to think about the character traits that they must have had on the inside to know that, okay, because Dr. King warned them, they said, when you go to Alabama, you are not going to be welcome there. You are, they don't want to hear about segregation there. Now, keep in mind, this is not all Alabamians, okay? Not at all, not all Alabamians. Some people were against it. I want you to think about the character traits that those people must have had, the Freedom Riders must have had. They would have had to have been brave. They would have had to have been courageous. They would have had to have been, patient, knowing that, patience as in, this is not going to happen right away. People are going to be resistant to change. So, they would have had to been, have perseverance. That means they would have had to, just kept pushing and pushing and pushing. Even though knowing that they were going to be met with resistance, people did not necessarily want segregation. So think about their character traits: courage, bravery, patience, persistence, self-control. You think about how that makes you feel when somebody's calling you idiot, you're dumb, you're stupid, or you're fat, your hair looks horrible. Think about those kinds of things. Think about how that makes you feel, and think about how it makes you want to react. And I want you to think about how those people, they came in preparing. They were preparing to be met with, okay, we're going to get some resistance here. It's not going to be good. There may be, we may get beaten. We may get, verbally accused. They prepared themselves for that, okay? So I want you to think about those character traits and think about a time whenever you have been treated unfairly and whenever you have been hurtful, had things said that were hurtful to you and mean things were said to you. I want you to think about how the character traits of courage, being brave, being patient, persistent, and persevering. I want you to think about how those character traits help you when you're in difficult situations. So think about the Freedom Riders. Think about their character traits that I just talked about. And I want you to tell me how these character traits will help you whenever you're in difficult situations, because you guys are in the 4th grade now, 9 and 10 years old, and you've already experienced people being mean to you. It may not be because of the color of your skin. It may be because of the type of clothes that you wear, or, it could be anything. The type of shoes that you wear, how your hair looks on one day. It could be for anything. Think about those things and how it makes you want to react. And think about how you can not react the next time that somebody says one of those things to you. So your assignment, again, you think about the Freedom Riders' character traits. How would their character traits help you when you're in difficult situations? Can't wait to hear your responses. For me, I have to tell you, when I was your age and when I was in the middle school, I won't ever forget. I don't know if you can see, but right here, I have a scar on my face, and it's a sheet burn. It's not where, or I guess that's what it's called, but it's not where a sheet caught on fire or anything like that, but I was a baby. When you're a baby, they have to pick your head up and they have to turn it, because you can't pick your head up and turn it. Well, at the time, the hospital was here in Wedowee, and so that's where my mom gave birth to me, delivered me, and so I spent time in the hospital there. Well, they didn't pick my head up and turn it, and so this burned on my skin. And I can remember being which I teach in the school where I attended middle school at. I teach at Wedowee Middle School, and I can remember this boy, and he, I guess, noticed this or whatever, and I remember he called me Scarface. I won't ever forget that, ever. I remember I used to look in the mirror and I would cry, and I would ask God why he made me so ugly. I just didn't understand. I didn't understand it. And to me, at the time, it looked like I had big craters in my face. But for a long time, and it took me well into my adult years, I'm 46 now, well into my adult years, when I said, okay, I just had to speak words of affirmation over myself every day. God doesn't make mistakes. I'm fearfully and wonderfully made. He made me with his own 2 hands. That is how I get myself ready for mean people. So I'm saying, if you haven't had somebody be mean to you or been in unfair or hurtful situations, it's coming. And it's unfortunately, it's just part of life. It's coming. It's probably already happened, and it's going to happen again, over and over and over and over again. So, because people get jealous sometimes, for whatever reason, you may never know the reason why they're mean to you or why they're jealous. You just never know. My point is, it's going to happen. I want you to be prepared. So, what can you do to prepare yourself? What kind of character traits do you need to have to prepare yourself when you are faced in those difficult situations? Do you want to react? You do not. You do not want to react. And I'll tell you why. Because you're going to regret it later. You always want to respond with love. That's what God tells us. We love because He first loved us. And so when people are unfair, and it is going to happen, we need to respond with love. Or does that mean we're not going to get mad? Because we will get mad because it's unfair. And we'll get mad when we see other people treated unfairly too. But we need to think about the right thing to do. So I can't wait to hear your responses. I hope everybody's doing good, and I hope you have the best day.